Yeah, I think we should be planning for the future, right? I mean, what are we doing if we ain't doing that?
All these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. All these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Paul with Spheric Reptiles, and I'm so sorry I didn't put out a video on Sunday. I was very busy with work during the week. You know how everybody is. And then also I fed, and then on that Saturday I went down and spent time with my buddy Danny at his house. We did a lot of snake stuff, a lot of rat stuff, and by the time I made it back, it was already Saturday night. So I was just like, well, I'll just make a video for Wednesday, which this video I think comes right on time. So the question is, how are you planning for your breeding future? I think that's a very important question, because when you think about it, this is really what you're trying to do. So you find breeders in one or two categories. They're like, A, I want to shoot for the stars, or B, I just want to operate at the hobby level. But either way, you have to spend money and you have to spend time. And time is our biggest asset, right? So what I hope this video will show, and please let me know what you think about this. I want your comments. If you choose to like and subscribe, that's great, but definitely your comments, because I really want to know if this is how you see it, or if I'm just shooting way off into left field or somewhere. But in a sense, what I like for people to do is to just see how they can be more innovative in their structure of their breeding projects, right? So as everybody, I mean, everybody that I know that gets into breeding, and in particular ball pythons, which are the lion's share of the market, which I've shared in videos before, they get in and they find an animal here, and then they find an animal there, and they find another animal here, an animal there, an animal everywhere, an animal. And then what you have is you have a lot of snakes, and then you say, oh, I want to breed them. But at that point, you should probably rethink. And so what we did is I looked at how everybody was getting into the market and everything, and I thought, hey, they got this excess money, they're getting into it during COVID, and I just played, I gambled, right? So it could have worked against me, but I really figured that a lot of people were just doing the same thing because everybody was grabbing a smorgasbord of all different types of animals, right? And true enough, that's what it turned out to be. So what I did, so this is basically what I think everybody needs to do. And I know they won't, because, you know, statistics say 80% of businesses fail within the first year. Even though they might still continue to exist, they fail and they can never recover. And this is the number one thing that everybody needs to do. And if you haven't did it, you need to get off your ass and you need to do this. You need to write out a business plan. I know I could say it nicer, but you really do. Because if you're spending your time and you're spending your money, then what else do you have left? I mean, you got your family and everything, which is why at the end I would say cherish the time, or really enjoy the time, or value the time that you spend with your family. But at the end of the day, you go to work spending hours, your time, for money. And whether you're doing that and you're investing it in something else, and if it's not making money for you, then it's really a waste. So I say write out that business plan, because that is the number one way that you can set a benchmark and actually look at your value of your investment over time. And that's how we do everything, right? You don't get a house and say, well, I want to stretch my house out for 50 years. No, you want to own your house, or at least get some equity in it, so that when it comes time to cash out, you got something to show for it. You got a return on your investment. So after you make your business plan, or as a part of your business plan, make a SWOT analysis. And so this is what I did. I made a SWOT analysis first. After I did industry research, I looked at, so for the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And just to let you guys know how I structured it, I took the 4 top breeders that I found, you know, just coming into it from MorphMarket. I took the guys who had the top 4 companies, right? Then I looked at 4 of the mid-cap or middle level breeders. Then I looked at 2 lower end level breeders that I thought I could get to. And the way that I looked at them is I looked at the number of animals that they had available on MorphMarket. See, MorphMarket is such a great tool that if you don't use it, you're really, it gives you everything you need to be successful. It shows you everything you need to be successful. And it just so happens to be the number 1 selling platform for what we're doing, right? So, but anyway, I looked at the number of animals that they had and when they posted it. Then I looked at the number of animals that they sold. So you could see the entire amount of animals that they've ever sold, right? And then you could actually see what day they posted it for sale and what days they actually sold it. So that would be, they didn't renew it. So around a give or take, a month or two, but you can see when they sold, and that's kind of time stamped forever for right now in MorphMarket. So you could actually do this even today. You can see the total number of animals that they have and everything. I mean, male, female, you can break it down into a lot of different categories. You can look at all of the animals they have and then force rank it or compare it to the number that they sold. But either way, when I did this, that was step one. So I got all these numbers together and I kind of said, okay, well, this is what they're doing. So then I used the reptile shows and expos to go and look at these people, because a lot of them do vend, not all of them vend, but a lot of them do vend shows. So then I would look at, okay, well, what makes these top people successful, the middle people, and the low end people, what do they look like? So when I looked at their table, I looked at three things, and just specifically three things. And this is what I'm trying to get you guys to innovate and just really look at how you look from the outside looking in. So look from the customer's eyes, look from, have another person come up and look at your booth that you don't know, and then just ask them for your feedback. But what I found was the number one thing is most people are unattentive to the customers that are walking by. They're on their phones, they're preoccupied, watching football games, listening to music, talking about snakes to other breeders who aren't buying snakes from them. They're doing all these things. Secondly, when I did the SWOT analysis and I compared it to the actual vendors at the shows, and this is just all to help everybody just really look at what they're doing, and so they can chart their own path. But I saw that 80% of all of the breeders had the exact same snakes on their tables as everybody else. So it's like the 80-20 rule. And so for those 20% of the people, or even 4% of the people that were very, very successful, they had 80% difference on their tables. And they sold animals that were either a serious wow factor with a dollar amount so they could make their money that way, but they also had things that the customers would definitely want. So what do the customers want? And what I found was they want things that pop, things that are different. So like we always say, blue-eyed Lucy's, albinos, pieds, things like that, very bright animals, banana pies, bananas. They want all of these snakes that they can't really see other than watching TikTok, Instagram. A lot of them don't know about MorphMarket. I think a lot more are learning, or they're watching YouTube videos and they're saying, wow, this is a great snake. And then when they found out the price, they're like, oh, hell no. But that's what I found when I looked at all these things. And, it was encouraging to me coming into this industry, but it was also disheartening because I know we all work as a collective group and we're all like, it's a very good community. But those things in particular, the SWOT analysis to see the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule stretched out further. So that 4% of the people that are at the top, 80% of their income comes from breeders, right? So, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, but 80% of their income comes from other breeders, whether it's here in the stateside or it's abroad. So it doesn't matter. Now, if you look at that mid-level breeder and that beginning level breeder, like we still are beginning level breeders. So I don't want to make it seem like we're more than what we're not. We're not. We're definitely not. But we have a plan and an exit strategy for that plan if it doesn't work. So I'm just betting everything on innovation. But what I'm saying is like, so that mid-level and that low, the ones that were successful had the animals that the customers want, and they pay very good attention to that customer base. Now they don't have the reach and they don't have the market size, like in volume of animals or doing the number of shows as some of the other people or the presence on MorphMarket. However, when you get them at a show, if someone goes by their table, they're more likely to buy from that person. And so you got to ask yourself why. You got to ask yourself why. So it's people skills, it's knowing your product. But the number one thing that I found, and this is all in your plan for the future, is that they pay attention to the customer. It's all about the customer. It's not about what they have. It's about what the customer wants. And that's selling skills 101. And I've said these videos before, But I really want to say it again just to reiterate how important and vital this is. And if you have a social media presence, it can only help. So it can be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever you do, just do it and just make sure you put the content out there. And I'm betting that you will be successful. What can be done? I mean, what truly can be done? What truly can be done? Because our thumbnail has our latest clutch that's on there, and it's just a pastel gravel head clown clutch. But that's the beginning stages of what we want to do. But so the question is, what can be done about where you are? So if you love where you are and you're generating income and interest, then that's great. But if you're not, then go back to the drawing board. Don't panic. Write out the business plan. Spend time to write out the SWOT analysis. Do your 80-20 rule analysis of the niches and demographics that you are targeting, because everybody knows what market they're in and what they can actually target, right? So the number one thing you can do is think outside the box. So there's a little pearl or nugget in every one of the super breeders, the people that are making a lot of money. They're giving you some nuggets, and they're actually showing you the direction that they're going. So like, I'll use the example of what we got. So right here, we got a confusion leopard, blackhead, dreamsicle, right? So we got them from Canova, and I was like, this is a great base animal, right? This is a great base animal. Why would I pass it up? So what am I going to do with this? So of course, for that project, we're going to make some duplicate copies of this because that's what people want. And I figured that the price will eventually come down or it'll stabilize. Either way, when I pull these out at a show, if I price them accordingly for the different markets, then they will sell. And that's based on the research that we've done. That's a little bit further into the SWOT analysis, and you do a SWOT analysis on yourself as well as your competitors. But also, if you look at this new edition that we have, and I'm just using this as just one instance of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to move genes, but I have a super mahogany, chocolate, cinnamon head piebald. Now you might be saying, well, the other one's a double visual lavender albino head pie. Well, yeah, it is, but it will not hurt as you look at this on the side of this scroll. So I always use MorphMarket to kind of do these calculations. And then because if I try to do them on paper, I end up using a lot of paper. Well, MorphMarket has such a great tool on top of having everything else that they have that you can use this calculator. And as you can see, just scrolling down, how many different options that I'll be able to provide customers. So everything will be mahogany in this case for this pairing. So if I get 8 eggs, I got all of these different options that can happen, but they will all be 100% het for lavender albino, right? And they'll be either piebald or they'll be het pied, but either way, even that base animal is still nice, right? So it has a chance to be, let me see if I get this right, mahogany, chocolate, cinnamon, leopard, confusion, blackhead, right? So that's a lot. And the very least I'll get is a mahogany, something, het pied, het lavender albino, which is still a very good option to have. Now I can make some suma pieds out of this in the future, or I can make some crazy, crazy lavender albinos. Not to mention that we have an animal with inchy in it as well, and black pastel that's totally separate, and orange dream in it that's totally separate. So that gives us more greater variety to be innovative and gives us a lot of different directions that we can spur to go. So that doesn't make us a rocket scientist, because by all means, I'm not a fucking rocket scientist. But what it does allow us to do, and what it will allow you to do, is to project your forecast for yourself and your benchmarking on a basis of either 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. And within 5 years, you should be at a stage with that project to where you're either near completion or at completion, if you play it right. Like, so don't start off at the very bottom. Buy double visual male and het females, and that will accelerate the game. So, and it will be cheaper for you that way as well. Take a deep breath. I said a lot. So this video isn't set up to say, oh, you're not doing well. It's set up to help us, because the thing that I number one cannot understand is how reptiles, as good of a pet as they are, I mean, let's face it, You can go on vacation with them. They don't have to eat every day. You can even, if you use some watering systems and stuff like that, if you do bioactive and you put the animals in there, then those animals will actually take over their naturalistic behaviors and forage for themselves a lot of the times. But when it comes to snakes, in particular ball pythons, change their water 3 times a week, feed them once a week, keep the humidity and heat and their enclosure size appropriate, keep it clean, and they thrive. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether you should do a big cage, bioactive, or tubs, or racks, or whatever, but that's just preference. So, but the number one thing that we have to do is, if we're trying to breed, let's be innovative. So if you go to a show and you see that there's a lot of one particular thing on everybody's table, don't go that route. And then you will be successful, because it's riches and niches. Well, maybe not riches, but at least you can support your hobby with something that's truly unique and different. And unique and different is what sells, right? To certain audiences. So I just wanted to put that out there, guys. Hopefully you like this comparison. Please let me know, like and subscribe, comment. But if nothing else, guys, I thank you for watching so much. And I'll try to make sure the videos get out all the time, but definitely enjoy the time you're spending with your reptiles and enjoy the time that you have with your families. Thank you.